Hello, everybody. Welcome to another week here at Post Wrestling. It is Monday, March the 21st. John Pollock here alongside Wai Ting. Hello, Wai.
Sorry, I think I got some audio issue here, John. Give me 1 second.
All right. Well, it's a great start to the week, folks. We have lots planned, lots of shows ready. If you can't take my voice, maybe you can get double my voice. That would be even better.
Nah, I got you, John.
All right. How was your weekend?
It was good. Yeah, it was good. Yeah. Honestly, once Monday comes around, I don't even think about it. So, how was yours?
It's good. It was great.
Really? That's it?
Yeah. It was nice.
You say that with a smile on your face, like you're high.
No, I'm not. You're reading too deeply into things. I went to a 5-year-old's birthday party.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, in the park. It was a lot of fun.
Okay. That's cool.
Yep. They
any what are the I don't know, any news from this 5-year-old's party?
Not a whole lot, but my kids had a lot of fun. So
okay.
That was my outing on Sunday, and now it's a brand new week.
Yes, it is.
You've been outside today? The mask mandate is done with, Wai. In Ontario.
Sounds like it is. Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I think I'll still be selective of wearing my mask, but it seems like if they want to move forward with us, it's inevitable that we were going to get to this point. So gotta push forward, I guess, in this whole thing.
Yeah, I think the good news is at least that I think Canada is like among the highest vaccinated in the world, so that's a good.
Japan is at like 80% now. I don't know how
that's pretty good.
That's pretty high up there. It's actually amazing when you bringing it to like wrestling and watching these shows where it's still everybody masked. We're still not doing the cheering and such yet. Like it has been extremely strict.
Yeah,
and that's with like a high vaccinated population.
Yeah, true.
So. What a segue into the New Japan Cup, which is down to the final four, Wai. We started with 46 after a few removals from the tournament from the original 48. And now we are down to 4 because over the weekend, Kazuchika Okada defeating Shima and Tetsuya Naito beating Jeff Cobb on Saturday's show in a bit of a surprise. The story is that Tetsuya Naito has not used the Destino to win throughout this tournament. He has won it through jackknife covers, a roll-up on Cobb, and pretty much just catching him here. And I guess a bit of a surprise that they are going back to Okada and Naito so soon. They will meet on Sunday, and then on the other side of the bracket, the quarterfinals wrapped up this morning with Shingo Takagi defeating Hiromu Takahashi, the battle of LIJ stablemates, and then in the main event, Zack Sabre Jr. was victorious over Will Ospreay, a controversial finish as Zack Sabre Jr. Did you see this submission?
I have not. No.
So he ties up the leg of Will Ospreay, almost like the setup for a calf crusher. So with the leg kind of scissored, he takes Will from behind and applies a rear naked choke at the same time. And then Will Ospreay taps, and it was a controversial finish because Ospreay was protesting the finish and whether he tapped or not.
I have not seen it, so I'll take your word for it. It sounds very, very unique.
It was a really, really solid match. So Zack Sabre Jr. and Shingo Takagi on the other side of the bracket. So the semifinals are on Saturday, the finals on Sunday. Do you have a prediction, Wai, of who comes out of this? We've got Shingo, Zack, Naito, and Okada.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I thought Jeff Cobb was going to be a front runner, but he's taken out, so maybe not. I don't know, actually. Yeah. You know what? Cobb is still in, right?
No. Cobb's out.
Oh, he's out. Yeah. Okay. So
Naito and Okada's on the one side, and then Shingo and Zack on the other. I could see a Takagi Okada final, unless you want to create multiple challenges for Okada. I wouldn't have pegged it to be Naito though to get this win, but they are kind of going with Naito kind of winning in these unconventional ways as he advances in the tournament, and maybe it builds to him using the Destino on one of these opponents at the end if they go all the way to the final with him.
Yeah, that could make sense. Sure.
So should be some excellent final couple of matches here from the New Japan Cup that will be wrapping up. Over the weekend as well, Gable Steveson won his second NCAA championship, defeating Colton Schultz on Saturday night, and this brings an end to his amateur wrestling career, which includes the 2 NCAA championships, 3 Big Ten championships, and winning the Olympic gold medal at the Tokyo Games last summer. And now, next up is WWE. It looks like it will be an imminent arrival to the company. Dave Meltzer reporting that he is expected to be at WrestleMania. And of course, he was drafted to the Raw brand. And this is going to be a very, very heavily focused upon talent way of how they bring him up and essentially like bypassing even like the NXT route, just going right to the main roster. And obviously a lot invested in Gable Steveson.
Yeah. I mean, with the news of him winning the NCAA championship again, and also his retirement, I mean, his name is pretty hot in terms of mainstream news. And for the WWE, I think he's a big deal because he's a mainstream name, and also he's, I would say, the face of this new next in line, directive that they have. So his success, I think, is very important to them. So I could see him being on TV right away.
Yes, but not NXT in line.
Not NXT, no.
No. So the other question, will this be the arrival of Gable Kemp, the brother of Damon Kemp, his brother?
Gable Kemp. Okay.
Yeah. They're going to rename him?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, we have 2 Gables on Raw.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know what they're going to do. I imagine he gets to keep his.
I would imagine he might trump, Shorty Chad.
Yeah. Another name change, perhaps, coming for G.
Yeah. So anyway, very intriguing to watch of his progression now that his amateur career is in the rear view, and now professional wrestling front and center for him. DDT held their 25th anniversary card on Sunday. There's an extensive report up on the site from Mark Buckledy going through this lengthy show, including a 43-minute main event, but also some news coming out of the show in the form of a working agreement announced by Christopher Daniels in a video that aired, representing AEW as its VP of Talent Relations, and stating that first congratulating DDT on their 25th anniversary and noting that the 2 companies have come to an agreement to bring DDT's wrestlers to the United States, and said that he is looking forward to introducing the top talent from DDT to the American wrestling base. And there you go. So we will be seeing some more involvement. Of course, Konosuke Takeshita came over for a few appearances last year on behalf of DDT, and this apparently also to include Tokyo Joshi Pro, which we have seen Maki Ito come over as well. So we'll be interested to see as well if this is sort of like a 2-way talent exchange where some AEW performers may go over for select DDT shows or even for an extended period.
Yeah, certainly. With borders opening back up, perhaps now is a better time to announce a deal like this. If you're AEW, you're certainly a company that I don't think is hurting for any sort of talent at all. In fact, I mean, you're probably lacking airtime as it is, even for your full-time talent. But nonetheless, any sort of agreement like this is a bit exciting, like we are in the era of the forbidden door where, I mean, we're getting New Japan talent showing up in AEW. So like, what does a DDT relationship mean right now? But we know the roots of Kenny Omega. We know, of course, that, Michael Nakazawa being a part of this, and you could tell maybe it's a bit more personal for them. For me, I'm personally a bit more interested in seeing more Joshi talent make their way to AEW and join the mix of the women's division.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, I mean, gosh, they have so many different working agreements. You have whatever Ring of Honor is going to become. It just seems like there is, like even with like the New Japan stuff and the fact that Jon Moxley and Will Ospreay, like that's a really huge match, and that's not going to be happening in an AEW ring. So I think that really kind of exemplifies their willingness to work with others, and it's again, it's a lot of balls to have in the air. You're working with AAA when you're sending FTR down there as well, and it's can sometimes be extremely complicated when you're trying to work your own stories and then maneuver talent and what matches happen elsewhere. What do we get back in exchange? But it seems like Tony Khan is very much in favor of this method where we can create all of these different scenarios by having good relationships with, a significant portion of the major companies out there.
Yeah, and at least as far as dream matches go, we already know that Eddie Kingston is already throwing his hat in there for one person in particular. He tweeted out recently, "You already know, what fight I dream of," and of course, we all know his love of the '90s All Japan and the 4 and the 5th pillars.
That's right.
Pro wrestling.
Yes, that's right. So anything is possible now, I guess, as they move forward with this. Mm-hmm. I wanted to just spend a few minutes talking about the UFC Fight Night card from Saturday night. So last week I said how the crowd in San Antonio, that was the best crowd this year that we had seen. That was topped on Saturday by the O2 Arena in London, England. This was UFC's first card in London in 3 years, and they sold out the O2 Arena. They announced a gate of $4.5 million, which would be an all-time record for the O2 Arena and the highest in Fight Night history. And if people remember back in the summer of 2014 when the UFC went over to Dublin, Ireland, and it was a card, it was headlined by Conor McGregor and Diego Brandao and featured all of the rising Irish stars who just happened to win all the key fights. And it was just this incredible crowd, one of the best in UFC history. This card very much had that feel to it, where a number of the UK stars came up big in their matchups. It was headlined by Tom Aspinall, who is a rising heavyweight. He's unbeaten in the UFC. And he was taking on Alexander Volkov, which was hardly a gimme fight for for Aspinall. Volkov is a former Bellator champion and got submitted in the first round with a straight armbar. So that was a huge win for Tom Aspinall. Arnold Allen had this incredible one-round fight with Dan Hooker, finishing him. And Arnold Allen is now 9-0 in the UFC. But the biggest stars coming out of this show, number one would have to be Paddy Pimblett, who is just at another level when it comes to charisma and personalities. He's certainly shown some defensive liabilities in his fights in the UFC and got rocked early in this fight against Kazula Vargas, but then came back and submitted Vargas, and this place exploded. His post-fight, his walkout and his speech afterward it was electric in this O2 Arena. And then his training partner, Molly McCann, earlier in the show, knocked out Luana Carolina with this spinning back elbow that just landed completely clean and put her to sleep. It's very rare you see a spinning elbow finish somebody. It's just to get the timing right, to land right on the button, and she did. This will be a candidate for knockout of the year. And this was a card just filled with these incredible finishes. And Dana White, who went over for this show, I cannot recall the last time I heard this man sound so happy at a post-fight press conference. He's just hamming it up with the media. He just seemed to be in the greatest of spirits. And usually they give out like the fight of the night bonus and 2 performance of the night bonuses. In this case, they gave out 9 performance of the night bonuses for everyone that got a finish, $50,000 each. So $450K in bonus money. And whether this happens or not, Dana said that they are going to rearrange their schedule this year so that they can come back here. He just was over the moon with this card. And just watching it, it was a spectacular atmosphere. And a lot of like your major stars won. Paddy Pimblett was in a position where he was an enormous favorite against his fighter. This was one he had to look big in, but he did. And for Aspinall, and Arnold Allen, like those were very big tests for each of them. Winning big, as was like Molly McCann with a spectacular knockout. Gunnar Nelson came back. He hasn't fought in several years. So just a lot of interesting stories on this card. A terrific crowd. And this was the best UFC card of the year. I know we're only 3 months in, but this was a really spectacular show on Saturday.
Very cool. Full report is up on the site right now.
Yes, Eric Marcotte all on top of that. Raw tonight will be in Chicago at the Allstate Arena. They've made several announcements. AJ Styles returns after his concerto attack at the hands of Edge. Becky Lynch is going to be addressing her brutal assault on Bianca Belair. And then we have 2 non-title matches announced with RK Bro taking on Alpha Academy and Finn Balor versus Austin Theory. And they've got 2 episodes until WrestleMania for Raw, and I am most intrigued by how they build these shows. Like Tonight Way, like you have Owens and Rollins, who do not have opponents on the show itself. You have Becky, who, like, in theory, I guess Bianca can be on the show tonight, but, you know, it'd be kind of silly to have her in a match. It's just a lot of what you're building up for WrestleMania. Like, what is going to comprise these 3 hours tonight?
I mean, a lot of rematches, I would assume. Showcases.
You have to get really creative with the buildup for this show, where, like, you don't have an Austin, you don't have a Cody, and it's like you have no world championship on this show as well. Like, you have to be very creative here, or not. But I think, like, if this show is if people enjoy this show, that's a real testament, because they're not playing with like a full set of cards here to get ready, literally.
Yeah. I mean, 2 weeks to go. I mean, I imagine you might get some sort of vehicular angle like we got on Friday, perhaps.
Okay.
Now is the time to pull out the cars. More ATVs being stolen, perhaps. This is the time to get serious. En route to WrestleMania.
Maybe Kevin Owens can go on a trip. He can go down to Texas to go search for Steve Austin. That could be a show long, like Eric Bischoff did that time. Go find Steve.
I think that would be fantastic. Yeah, I mean, at this point, the card's already kind of set. If you're going to watch WrestleMania, you're going to watch it. But otherwise, hey, these 3 hours to fill are a priority, of course, on Monday nights as well. But speaking of WrestleMania, if you would like to watch WrestleMania live, in person, in the city of Toronto, of course, those of you know that Braden recently did an AEW Revolution live watch along, and that seemed to be very successful. Well, he is doing it again, this time partnering up with Sneaky D's here in Toronto for a WrestleMania Night 2 watch along. Legendary Sneaky D's, John. Braden will be hosting. It'll be April the 3rd at 6:30 p.m. So get your tickets right now at twitter.com/upnextpodcast. There is the link right there.
Yes, check it out. It was a big success for Revolution. So we will see what the general interest is in Toronto. A very select survey that we will be doing that night to see what is the WrestleMania intrigue for Night 2. 6:30 p.m. happening here in Toronto. Way will not be attending, nor will I, but we will be live that night.
It'll be a very, very busy weekend for all of us that week.
Way sent me our tentative schedule for that weekend today, and it was a lot to take in. It's like, yes, this is going to be a very busy weekend.
Yeah. Between all the coverage, we're planning a lot of exclusives for the Post Wrestling Cafe. So it would be a great time for you guys to stick around if you're a cafe member.
And quickly, just looking at the schedule this week, we are back tonight with Rewind to Raw. Start time of 11:05 p.m. Eastern time. We're going 10 minutes earlier, so that will be our new tentative start time for these shows. 5 minutes after the show ends here at youtube.com/postwrestling. Give the channel a sub. And then Tuesday, Rewind Away is back as Way and I are traveling to 2017. The Lake of Reincarnation will present the Broken Hardys inside an ROH ring in Lakeland, Florida, taking on the Young Bucks in a ladder match, which you and I did not watch on pay-per-view that night because we were in the building at the Lakeland Center. We were 2 of 3,500 people, a ROH record at the time. So this is actually the first time we have sat down and watched this show.
It's a really interesting show to go back and rewatch because so much of it is the height of the Bullet Club and the height of sort of, I think, what we know today as the core of all elite wrestling. So it's really interesting to see maybe where people are now compared to only 5 years ago.
Going back and watching this, it's crazy how different everything was 5 years ago. We're talking about a weekend where The Undertaker was retiring. Drew McIntyre shows up at NXT TakeOver.
I totally forget that. Wow. Okay.
Well, we'll remind you of everything that is happening. Also for patrons this week, yourself and WH are doing a primer on Thursday for Moon Knight. I have no idea what Moon Knight is. Can you explain?
I can't even really explain it to you. So that's why we're doing this primer with
Okay.
WH Park. He'll be explaining the character to me. He's a character that I think, at this point is more like not certainly not as well known, but it's a show that has been very much hyped from critics who have seen it, who might be calling it the best thing that Marvel has ever done. So my anticipation for it is very high, and I want to go in at least with a bit of a little bit of knowledge about what to expect. So that's what WH will provide to us. MCU later returns this week and will be weekly going forward from this point on.
All right. And other highlights this weekend, we will have both the NWA podcast, where Brandon Thurston is going to be a guest with Nate, Andrew, and Chris. And WH and Karen Peterson will be doing an edition of Post Pro Res and looking at both Stardom shows that are happening this weekend, setting the table for those events with the return of Kyrie. And lots can be found all at postwrestling.com. The whole schedule is up there. Packed week of shows here on the site.
Yeah, the calm before the storm.
Yeah. This is the quiet week before everything is crazy next week. So there you go. PostWrestlingCafe.com for all of the bonus shows and everything that you can ask for. We're back tonight, 11:05. And thank you for tuning in to the Post Daily News Show.